When people hear that I completed a 42-day fast, they usually ask me one of these questions. How much weight did I lose? How did my body feel? And did I experience mental clarity? But almost nobody asks me about my hardest day. And honestly, that's the day that matters most. Because if you are considering a prolonged fast, you're probably not worried about day one. You are worried about that one day when everything feels impossible. The day when you wake up wondering why you started in the first place. The day when quitting feels completely reasonable. And if you've ever thought about doing prolonged fast, I have a feeling this matters to you. I have a feeling this matters to you. Because deep down, you're probably not afraid of starting. You are afraid of failing. At least that was my experience. You're afraid of getting halfway through and realizing you are not as strong as you hoped. You're afraid that one bad day will convince you to quit. I know that fear because I had it too. And if you're anything like most people watching this channel, you've probably spent years trying to improve your health. You've tried diets, you've tried eating better, you've tried intermittent fasting, you've tried exercise programs, you've started with the best intentions, but sooner or later life gets busy, motivation fades, and things fall apart. The real cost isn't just carrying extra weight. The real cost is what happens every time you stop believing your own promises. Every year you tell yourself that this will be the year. Every year you start, and every year you stop. After a while, you stop trusting yourself. You become more cautious, more doubtful, and less willing to try. 6 months later, nothing has changed. You have the same frustrations, you have the same health concerns, you have the same conversations in your head. You're still researching, you're still preparing, and you're still waiting for the perfect moment. That is why this topic matters. Because learning how to deal with a hard day isn't really about fasting. It's about learning how to keep going when things stop being comfortable. Now you might be wondering why you should listen to me about this. Well, it's a fair question. There are plenty of people talking about fasting. Many of them know the science far better than I do. But my perspective comes from experience. I've been fasting for decades. I've completed multiple prolonged fasts, including some that lasted 42 days. I've seen fasting change my own life. I've watched family members use prolonged fasting during some of the most difficult health challenges imaginable. I've lived through the good days, but more importantly, I've lived through the bad ones. And the hardest day of my 42-day fast taught me something I have never fully understood before. Because here's what happened. On that day, I wanted to quit. Not because I was starving and not because I was physically incapable of continuing. I simply felt done, tired, frustrated, and emotionally exhausted. I remember I questioned everything. What am I doing this? Is it worth it? Wouldn't it be easier just to stop? And that's when I realized something important. The problem wasn't the bad day. The problem was what I thought the bad day meant. Because most people assume that successful fasting feels good most of the time. They think that if they're struggling, something must be wrong. That successful people don't have days where they want to quit. But that's not true. The hardest day wasn't proof that I was failing. It was proof that I was doing something difficult. And those are two completely different things. That realization changed everything. Because from that point on, I stopped trying to avoid difficult days. I started expecting them and preparing for them, understanding that they were part of the process, not evidence that the process wasn't working. And that's the biggest lesson I can give you today. Before you start your fast, create a plan for your hardest day. Not if it comes. When it comes. Take 15 minutes. Write down why quitting will feel attractive in the moment. And write down what you will do instead of quitting. Maybe it's taking a walk. Maybe it's reading your reasons again. Maybe it's calling your support person. And maybe it's simply going to bed and promising yourself you'll decide tomorrow instead of today. Because your day 1 self is far wiser than your exhausted day 35 self. Don't wait until emotions take over. Prepare now. Is it worth doing? Well, I think so. Because what you gain is far bigger than the weight loss. Imagine waking up in the morning after completing something that once felt impossible. Looking back over weeks of doubt, discomfort, temptation, and uncertainty, knowing there were moments you wanted to quit. Moments when nobody would have blamed you for stopping. And yet you finished. That feeling changes something inside you. You stop wondering whether you're disciplined. You stop wondering whether you are capable. You have proof. A year later, that weight loss might be part of the story. The health improvements might be part of the story. But the biggest change is often trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to do difficult things. Trust that you don't have to quit every time life becomes uncomfortable. And the sacrifice? It's temporary. The confidence lasts much longer. If there's one thing I learned from my hardest day during a 42-day fast, it's that the hardest day of your fast isn't the day that breaks you. It's often the day that proves you can finish. And now I would love to hear from you. What do you think would be the hardest day during a prolonged fast? And what do you think would make you want to quit on that day? Let me know in the comments. I read every comment, and your answer might help someone else who is struggling with the exact same fear. Until next time.